I'm Dr. Jaya Bharathan. Most people just call me Dr. AJ. I'm a family doctor and I've practiced here in Halifax, Nova Scotia for 33 years. Nordic walking wasn't something I was very familiar with until a patient of mine literally walked in with his poles. He explained to me that he depended on them for his mobility, his stability, for exercise, and I watched how quickly he recovered after a really bad knee injury. And after that, I decided I needed to learn more about Nordic walking and the use of different poles. I started to see a lot of benefit to patients in my primary care practice with the use of Nordic walking and the poles. So whether it was diabetes and needing to lose weight around the middle, whether it was activating your core, whether it was balance, it seemed to really fit different patient populations. So people with diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis. And as I started to tell patients about it and as they were using it, I could see the benefits, and so I kept recommending them. There's many different types of patients that will benefit from Nordic walking. Honestly, anybody, and it doesn't matter what age you are. It just helps you with activating your core, improving your mobility. It helps you burn more calories. You're using 40% more of your muscles when you literally walk with the poles rather than just walking. So whether it's a walking program, whether you have a disease condition, it fits anybody and everybody. So I find sometimes patients are uncertain about whether they could coordinate themselves with Nordic walking. And I've been able to address that with the help of our partnership with Zoomers and Laura Lundquist and her team. So we have physiotherapists that are very excited and interested in guiding patients and also assessing which type of pole is appropriate for them. The type of poles that a patient needs does depend on what they're going to use it for and their own health conditions. So for a lot of patients, the Urban 300 series is a good fit if they want to go walk with them. But other patients who might have challenges with their stability might need the activator poles. So I always use the assessment that is done by physiotherapists to determine which is the proper pole for them, just to make sure that those with stability challenges are given the right poles. After I noticed the benefits that my patients were seeing, I decided I would try them as well. So I started to use them every day on my walks, and I had the same benefits that patients were seeing. And much to my delight, I ended up with a vestibular problem, and my balance was off, my coordination was off, but there was so much muscle memory that I had built up through the daily use of the poles that I could still walk using them while my vestibular system was healing. So in the summertime, I tend to walk all around my home. There's a lovely trail there. And in fact, in the wintertime, I do use the same path because, of course, the boots come off and you've got the picks. So on days where there's not too much ice on the roads, which we have in Nova Scotia, I usually use them year round. Well, my body is aging, as all of us are, but there's something magical about these poles. When you put them on and you start walking, actually, my dad said it was like swimming through air, and I must say that's the experience I have. And that activation of your muscles is something tangible. You feel it at the time, and you find yourself sitting up a little straighter. You find yourself holding yourself differently because of that activation. So I continue to enjoy that every day. We are very excited about the Get Up and Go Nova Scotia pilot. This was made possible by a grant from the Family Doctor Council at Doctors Nova Scotia, and it allowed us to purchase a number of poles, and it allowed us to collaborate with Zoomers Health Solutions and Urban Polling, the company, so that patients can have a complimentary session where the physiotherapist does the assessment, and depending on which poles they need, we're giving it to them free of charge. And this has been exciting, very exciting. And our hope is that after the pilot, we will have worked out different aspects of what we need to do to go forward and really introduce it to the entire province. So maybe in 5 years' time, you're going to see a whole lot more of the use of these poles by people of all ages.
My name is Jean Randall, and I live in Mount Uniacke, Nova Scotia. I have been using walking poles for 4 years. Laura Lundquist was my physiotherapist at the time. I had arthritis in my knees, and I was in a lot of pain when I walked. I love to walk, and she suggested to me to try them and that they would take a little bit of pressure off my knees when I was walking, and she was right. At first, I was a little awkward and hesitant when it came to the poles. I had to actually learn to use them properly. Once I was able to use them properly, it became second nature and I didn't have to think about it anymore. Nordic walking poles have changed my life. I'm able to walk long distances. I was walking before my knee surgery 10 kilometers a day. Now I am trying to work back to it. They are supportive. They did ease the knee pain slightly beforehand. Now they're making it possible for me to walk, and I'm up to about 5 kilometers a day now. For someone that is struggling with any sort of knee pain, they definitely are an advantage. I would definitely recommend the Nordic walking poles to anyone, whether they had knee pain or not.
Debbie Saunier, and I live in Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia. I find that, these poles, they've really helped me. And, if you got pain and stuff and you don't want to walk, this gives you that little bit more stability and support. Well, Dr. AJ really promoted these to me. And she told me where to get them and everything. And then I came back here and I was shown how to use them, set them up. So that was beneficial. I try to use them on a daily basis, usually for 30 minutes, sometimes up to an hour. I was having a lot of trouble with my knees. I had to get a knee replacement, so these helped me with my mobility again. I'm quite pleased with them. I've had people even stop me on the street and say, "What exactly do these poles do for you?" And I said, "Well, they take the pressure off my knees and they allow me to get out there."
My name is Jorge Sadi. I live in Clayton Park West. Based on my experience, like a lot of people just keep walking and telling them that walk is good for them, but I try to introduce to them the Nordic pole or whatever pole that you're using, that it will help you a lot because it will build some like muscle, or your 90% of your body will have the exercise instead of just your legs. Before the pandemic, I've been walking it all the time. We have a group that we have to walk in Point Pleasant Park. That's about once a week, every Saturday, something like that. My health is really, really not that good before I use the walking pole. It helps me a lot because before I'm really, my knee is not good and things like that. But after I use the Nordic pole, it's really good to use and help me to like catch fresh air on the on the trail, things like that. So I feel a lot better physically because it gave me a lot of energy. It's kind of addicted though, because every time you see your walking pole, like the Nordic pole, you say, "So probably I should use it."
My name is Laura Lundquist. I'm a physiotherapist and owner of Zoomers Physiotherapy and Health Solutions and founder of the Club Z fitness program. I honestly learned about Nordic walking from my patients. So I had a number of patients that were coming in asking me questions about their walking poles. Were they the right ones for them? What were they doing for them? What were they not doing for them? And I realized that even though I'd been working for about 15 years at that time, I didn't know much about them. So I got some professional education myself and I've never looked back. Just seeing the success that my patients had with the poles was what led me to continue to want to prescribe them for patients and adjust how they were maximizing the benefits of their walking program by incorporating the use of poles. Those poles can be helpful from the perspective of increasing the fitness benefit of the walk, but also giving more stability and more confidence from a balance perspective, and then also offloading painful joints so that people can be out there and be active longer and more comfortably. One of the great things about Nordic walking is that I think just about anybody can benefit from it. The trick is knowing what the right style is for you and how to maximize the use of your poles based on how your body works, what's comfortable for you, and what you're really looking to get out of your walk. Many of my patients who have used Nordic walking poles find that they, number one, feel like they're more upright when they're walking. They can tell that they engage those upper body muscles, and they feel more confident when they're out there because they do have that extra little stabilizing point as they're going. And again, so many of them find that they are more comfortable for longer, especially people with hip and knee osteoarthritis or painful lower back. That little bit of offloading that the poles provide can really go a long way in terms of keeping them comfortable. In terms of what might stop someone from Nordic walking, I think it probably boils down to their knowledge of how to use them properly and their confidence in feeling like they're the right thing for them. I think Nordic walking really can be appropriate for anyone. The trick is knowing what the right technique is for each individual person and making sure that you're working into it gradually. Sometimes with anything new, we can all be enthusiastic and sometimes jump in and do a little bit too much too soon. And sometimes that could be a reason that people feel discouraged. The other thing is, it's not easy. When you watch someone who has been doing Nordic walking for a long time, it looks sometimes almost effortless. But the reality is, it takes a lot of coordination to figure it out and a lot of practice at the beginning. So it's easy to get discouraged when it's difficult to coordinate that movement at the beginning. But if you stick with it and you allow your body time to adapt to that feel, then you'll be the one looking like it's easy peasy. I think walking poles are a wonderful tool for anyone to add into their walking program. Whether you're looking to build your confidence out there, build the amount of time that you can tolerate being out there, or simply get more out of your walk, walking poles really can be the tool that helps you achieve any one or all of those things. I do really feel, I'm biased as a physio, but I feel like it's important to get some advice on setting them up properly and using them properly for you. There are different techniques out there based on what your body needs. And so working with someone like a physiotherapist can go a long way to helping make sure that they are a successful tool for you in your walking program.